How is it possible that after trying all the yo-yo diets known to mankind, doing intense workouts and cardio for hours each week, my client Lauren that you see here hadn't lost much weight at all? After I shared 3 secrets with her, she lost 49 pounds in 90 days. That's right, 49 pounds in 90 days, which is crazy. That's not all. How is it possible that my pastor friend lost 30 pounds in 90 days after partaking in a ton of crash diets and had pretty much given up? He even came to me in a place of desperation and started to consider weight loss surgery. I said, "Are you crazy? There's so many options. Let me show you how to do it." And he came on our program without doing anything crazy or any restrictive diets that are unsustainable. He finally understood what the Bible actually says about food and the body. That's right, temple stewardship. Not the verses that you would expect here, but here's the truth. God never designed us to be enslaved to food. But if you don't understand this particular thing that I'm going to explain here, you're going to stay stuck in the same cycle, praying for change and never breaking free. If you've ever felt frustrated, no matter how hard you try, and you ended up where you started, you probably are doing it the way most people are doing it. Now, please hear me out. It's not your fault. You're not broken. It's not that you're not disciplined, but something has been keeping you stuck. And that's what I would like to expose today in this video. I want to share with you Isaiah 6 and give you a little bit of context on verse 1, the first verse that I want to share with you, my first secret here. And Isaiah 6 says that when the idol dies, you see clearly. You've probably heard of the cheesy saying, clarity is power. This is very much that. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever had a moment where you said to yourself, maybe you looked in the mirror and you just didn't recognize who you were, right? You look in the mirror and you step on the scale and there's this sinking feeling in your chest. How did I get here? How did I allow myself to get here? It happens all the time, right? My pastor friend shared this story with me. He and his wife went on a vacation to Cancun. It's a trip that they take every year. And they do it to relax, unplug, to reset. But this time, something hit him very differently. He was about to jump in the pool and he caught the reflection of himself in a mirror and he stopped and stared at himself. And the only thing that he could think was, what in the world happened to me? Now, this guy isn't a lazy guy. He works out 3 times a week. He's a boxer, right? High cardiovascular activity, but no amount of exercise could outwork what was really happening. Food had this grip, and not just physically, but spiritually. And maybe you felt that way too, where you're doing all the right things. You're trying the new diets, you're tracking macros, you're pushing yourself to go to the gym, but nothing is changing. That particular night, after he came back from the pool, he laid in bed desperate and he was seeking, some answers to his questions. He started Googling quick fixes, looking into surgery, anything that would take his mind off of the problem. But here's the thing, God truly wasn't after his weight. He wasn't after his belly. God was after his heart. And in the middle of his frustration, the Bible verse that just came to mind and exposed it all was Isaiah chapter 6, verse 1. And it says this, right? It says, in the year that the king Uzziah died, I saw the Lord high lifted up. Now, let's pause and let's think about this for a second. This verse is not about weight loss. It's about idols. Uzziah was a king. He was a leader and someone that Isaiah greatly looked up to. But it wasn't until this thing in his life was removed, right? This idol, he saw Uzziah as this huge leader and he idolized them, right? And it wasn't until he actually went away that he was finally able to see clearly. He had removed that idol. And when this pastor read this verse, something clicked with food. And he said, oh, wow, food has been my Uzziah for all this time. He had taken a higher place in his life that it should have, right? He never thought of food as an idol, but he took a look at how much power it had over him. Every celebration, every stress had food. Food was the thing that would help him during boredom. Food was the thing that he would seek every time he had some kind of adversity. If food controls your decisions, your emotions, and your body, then whether you realize it or not, it has become an idol. As long as this idol sits on the throne, you can't see clearly. And please listen to me. If you felt this way, if you're struggling here, if you've tried and failed and you failed over and over again, something is missing. And honestly, it's not your fault. We were never taught to see food this way. We were taught to manage it, to try harder. But God doesn't ask us to manage our idols. He asks us to remove them, to completely get rid of them. And here's the beautiful part. When Isaiah's idol has just gone away in this particular verse, he saw God more clearly and more clear than ever before. And when this pastor finally surrendered food, not through willpower, right? Not through discipline or white knuckling his way, but through the truth, everything changed. Because when the idol of food dies, you see God more clearly. You have more power in your life. When you see him clearly, you can start seeing yourself clearly too. Secret number 2, this verse, the second verse that I want to share with you in 1 Peter 4, and I titled it Embracing Discipline as a Spiritual Practice. But here's the hard part. Letting go of an idol isn't comfortable at all. This is where most people struggle, because we think that discomfort is too much, right? You're like, man, I got to discipline myself. This means that I'm going to have to work hard. And the Bible actually tells us the opposite of this, right? In 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 1, it says this, since Christ suffered in the flesh, arm yourselves with the same mindset, because whoever suffers in the flesh is done with sin. Think about this, okay? Whoever suffers in the flesh is done with sin. Discomfort is part of the process. But what if I told you that the very discomfort, the struggle of breaking the habits, the resisting all the cravings, the temptations, retraining your body isn't necessarily punishment. It's actually a sign of spiritual renewal. See, when Jesus went to the desert for 40 days and 40 nights, he wasn't just proving that he could go without food. He was demonstrating mastery over his flesh, because food is not just physical, it's deeply spiritual. When you learn to master your cravings rather than being mastered by them, you start to win the battle that you didn't even realize you were fighting. And that brings me to my third point and my third secret here, right? This third verse that I want to share with you. And it's in Corinthians chapter 9. And I think of it this way. You were never meant to do things alone. There's something people always tell you when you're trying to make a change, right? Especially in the church. Church circles are really tricky, right? It's a silent struggle, because maybe you felt this before. You tried to make this decision. You tell yourself, this time I'm going to change. You start eating better. You start moving more. You start taking your body seriously. And at first, you're excited, right? There's all this excitement behind it. You're hopeful, but then, right, the people at church, people start to resist you, right? Not openly or with bad intentions, but suddenly the people closest to you start saying things like, oh, come on, just have a little bit of this or a little bit of that. It's not that serious. You look great the way you look. You don't have to be so extreme. God doesn't care about all that. God doesn't care about the way you look. Just pray about it and you'll be fine. But here's the thing. Yes, you should pray about it. But when people say things like this, it's dismissive. It's like they're trying to stop you. They're trying so hard, and it isn't important to them. And of course, they make it seem so simple. And oftentimes what happens is that they don't want to change, and they see you change. And when they see you change, it makes them make a decision, right? They have to make a decision. Do I want to stay where I am, or should I be doing what he's doing there or she's doing there when she's trying to make herself better? And it's not that you're taking this process too seriously. Is that you're probably at that point where you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. And people are telling you, oh, just let it go. Is it even worth you going through all this struggle of losing weight? It's not a big deal, right? God doesn't care about our physical appearance. He cares about our heart. And this is where most people fail and they get stuck. Most people, they're trying, but they're trying through mere discipline, because they try to do it alone. And that's where the Bible is clear. 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 27 says this, I discipline my body and make it my servant, so that after I have preached to others, I myself will not be disqualified. This is the Apostle Paul talking to us. Now, let's break that down. We already know that Paul is one of the greatest spiritual leaders of all times. He knew that discipline didn't happen in isolation. He surrounded himself with people who sharpened him, who encouraged them, who held him accountable, because here's the truth. Your environment will always win against your willpower. Please read that again, right? I want you to write it down and read it over and over again, right? Your environment will always win against your willpower. This is why many people fail, right? They're in isolation. They try to fight the uphill battle alone. They try to change, but the people around them stay the same. They try to break these patterns, but they're still in an environment that pulls them back in. And this isn't just about food. It's why people stay stuck financially. It's why marriages fail and eventually fall apart. It's why people drift spiritually, because when you're surrounded by people who don't value change, you're going to be stuck. One of the ways I like to say it is that if you want to soar like an eagle, you can't hang around scavengers. I know that sounds harsh, but please hear that for what it's worth, okay? So if you want real transformation, you have to put yourself in a place where your behavior will flourish, right? Your changes, your new habits will flourish. Somewhere where you won't be questioned, you'll be celebrated. Somewhere where you won't be tempted to eat the cake or eat a little bit of this or a little bit of that, right? Where people are going to push you to be better, to do better. Somewhere where when you're in the midst of a hard time and you're about to give up, someone can come behind you and say, hey, I want to remind you of what you're doing here and you're doing a great job, right? You want to be encouraged, right? You don't want to do this alone. You want to be supported, because Jesus didn't do ministry alone. Think about it. Paul didn't run his race alone. You were never meant to fight this battle alone either. And so I want to say this, and before I actually close out here, I want to ask you a question. Has food been ruling over you instead of you ruling over food? If so, I want to say this. What would happen if for the first time in your life, you truly aligned your health with your faith? Not through another crash diet, not through more willpower, but through God's design. If that's something you want to do, something that you're serious about, I want you to click the link in the description of this video so that we can connect on a private one-on-one call, no strings attached. I want to show you how you can actually bring your faith alongside this goal that you've been trying to achieve for a very long time. And you've tried to do it through all the diets, the dynamics, eat this, don't eat that. And maybe you failed, or maybe you were successful, but you gained the weight right back. If that is the case, my friend, I want to show you how to do it from a faith perspective. If faith is important to you, if you believe in the power of God, then I want to show you how you can bring dynamics alongside your faith and find a powerful combination for transformation. I hope you've gotten something out of this video. More importantly, I hope you put it to action. My name is JT Tapias with an idol called food. Leave your comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know what your biggest takeaway was. And if we're not family yet, you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do so that we can stay connected. I'll talk to you guys soon. Ciao, ciao.